Now let's get to the NBA. Before I do that, I got to pause for a moment here because I got to take a moment to acknowledge the wildfires that's taking place in Southern California and the impact they're having on the NBA family, to be specific. Warriors coach Steve Kerr and Lakers coach J.J. Redick said family members evacuated their homes with the flames that tore through the Pacific Palisades. We're thinking of them and the thousands of families in Southern California impacted by the fire. Just wanted to send out my heartfelt concerns on behalf of the Stephen A. Smith Show for everybody that's being impacted by this. It is dangerous out there. It's a wildfire. I saw a picture of the sky. It looks like the sky is on fire, for crying out loud. It's very windy as well, which is why, obviously, the fire is spreading. It's what it's called a wildfire for. All right? So I just want to let everybody know that, our hearts are with everybody in Southern California, sincerely hoping and wishing that everybody remains safe and they get this stuff contained. Now I want to get to the ongoing war of words between J.J. Redick, head coach for the Los Angeles Lakers, and, of course, Mr. Charles Barkley himself from TNT. NBA Hall of Famer, by the way. Let's not forget that. It started in late December when the head coach for the Los Angeles Lakers spoke about the media bashing the game instead of celebrating the game. Now, listen. Before I even play you this sound, understand there's a lot of people that's been saying stuff about the game of basketball. They've been talking about the NBA ratings have dipped, even though they're doing quite well. They've been talking a lot about the product that they're watching on the court. And you've had people in media thinking that the media has contributed to the demise of the game because the media is complaining about the game too much instead of celebrating the game. That prompted J.J. Redick to speak, which prompted Charles Barkley to come right back at him, which prompted J.J. Redick to say something else, and Charles Barkley to say something else. All of that is what I'm about to show you right now. Sit back for the next couple of minutes and take a listen and a look to this.
If I'm a casual fan and you tell me every time I turn on the television that the product sucks, well, I'm not going to watch the product. And that's really what has happened over the last 10 to 15 years. I don't know why. It's not funny to me. Nothing is entertaining to me. This game should be celebrated.
I heard J.J. Redick said something about me. J.J., you better calm down, because when you come for the king, you better not miss.
Did he name you specifically, or was he just talking about folks on TV?
He said something about we're the reason people ain't watching this crappy product we got. I said, J.J., us, like we out there jacking up 103 tonight. J.J., I don't know Jason Monroe. I don't know who that is, but J.J., you come for the king, you better not miss. Because I can get you, brother, because I got your Lakers games. You can't hide them flaws they got. You just a dead man walking. They got rid of Frank Vogel, who did a good job. They got rid of Darvin Ham, who did a good job. But you came out there thinking you were going to change things with that same ugly girl you went on the date with. I'm J.J. Redick. I can make this thing work. Please, I'm being professional. You come for me, you better not miss. We're the reason ratings are down. Oh, we're the reason? We're the reason, like we playing. We're only on an hour a day. Well, hey, listen, if me and Shaq, that's exactly right. If me and Shaq played, damn, the ratings would be down. But in fairness, if me and Shaq played, we'd be like the third or fourth best players on that Laker team right now. But it's Frank Vogel and Darvin Ham's fault. I don't bother nobody. But if you hit me, I'm going to hit you back.
I didn't make it all the way through the clip, I got to be honest with you. My resting heart rate is probably 64. I watched the clip, it was 64. Literally don't care. I have other thoughts, but don't care.
And the Lakers proved to what I keep saying. The Lakers stink, plain and simple. We have to talk about them because the media is infatuated with the Lakers. But the Lakers are not a good team. They got zero athletic ability. I mean, when you watch them, Jason Kidd coached a masterpiece tonight. We can go one-on-one, get any shot we want. They got a good shot every time. The Lakers could never keep them in front of them. This was a coaching masterpiece by Jason Kidd because there's no way that team that the Mavs put out there, especially one winning by 20.
Couple of things. Number one, to address J.J. Redick, the person. J.J. Redick doesn't suffer fools. And he's a brilliant, brilliant basketball mind. Very smart, very intellectual. Prides himself on being an intellectual. And so when J.J. Redick essentially in that second sound of him saying, I have my thoughts, but I'll keep it to myself, when he was talking about his art rate hadn't changed, et cetera, I can tell you what J.J. Redick's thinking about. He's thinking about film. He's thinking about analytics that he reads up on. He's thinking about the nuances of the game of basketball that ultimately made him a head coach, and he's saying he knows that is something that Charles Barkley doesn't necessarily do. So he doesn't know more than I know, please. That's how he's thinking about it. Charles Barkley is a bottom line kind of individual. He's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the greatest players to have ever played. 75th anniversary team, et cetera, Olympic gold medalist, a member of the original Dream Team. One of the great forwards in the history of basketball, whose credentials speak for itself, even though he's devoid of a championship. And Charles Barkley is a results-oriented dude that's looking at a Los Angeles Lakers team that ain't going no damn place. One that bounced out in 5 games in the first round last year against Denver. He's looking at those kind of things, and he's saying, don't come to me with all of this technical, this analytical stuff and all of that. You guys suck, period. That's how Charles Barkley is thinking. Now let me enter the fray. First, on the complimentary part, I don't think J.J. Redick is doing a bad job. They're 20-16. They're top 6 seed in the Western Conference. Okay? And I think that the things that are happening with the Los Angeles Lakers are not of his doing. I think if he had better talent, he'd do better. The issue with that is one could say the same thing about Frank Vogel. One could say the same thing certainly about Darvin Ham. Darvin Ham, as he articulated just a couple of weeks ago, came near his first year. He got him to the Western Conference Finals. After that, despite a bevy of injuries and other issues, they won the in-season tournament. They got to play in, went through the play-in, got to the playoffs, and the only reason they got bounced out in 5 games and went home was because they were playing against the reigning NBA champions at the time, the Denver Nuggets, who had swept them in the Western Conference Finals the year before and took them out in 5 this go-round. So when you're looking at Darvin Ham and the job that he did, you could easily ask, why is he gone? Now, J.J. Redick, what he has to own up to, and I don't fault him for this at all. This is all on LeBron James. This part that I'm about to mention is all on LeBron James. How the hell you going to have a podcast about basketball and the nuances and the expertise and the intricacies of basketball with J.J. Redick, who you knew was aspiring to be a head coach, and you knew you wanted your coach Darvin Ham out? How you going to do that and think that ain't going to look cool? Yeah, come on now. I mean, LeBron James, that's the classic case of spitting in somebody's face and saying it's raining. It's the classic case of somebody passing gas religiously, farting in your damn face and calling it perfume. That's what LeBron James did. Let's stop that. But that's not J.J. Redick's fault. J.J. Redick was an aspiring coach. Only experience he had was coaching his son in, Little League basketball. And he became the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. And let me state for the record, not to throw any shade on anybody, I'm just telling you my personal belief, no inside information or anything like that, but if something walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, I'm not going to call it a mongoose. When you offered Danny Hurley, I thought you wanted Danny Hurley as an organization until you offered him $11 million a year. He was a 2-time national champion, considered universally as arguably the greatest coach in college basketball at this particular moment in time since Mike Krzyzewski has stepped away from the game. Danny Hurley is that dude at UConn. And after all that success, you offer him $11 million when Eric Spoelstra, Greg Popovich, Steve Kerr, now Ty Lue, and others were all getting paid over $14, $15 million a year. Come on now. You wanted Danny Hurley that badly. You come up with more money than 11, but they didn't do that. And so because they didn't do that, the belief was you really didn't want him. You just used him as cover to get the guy who you really wanted, which was J.J. Redick, but you wanted to gloss over that because you didn't want LeBron James and the Lakers organization to look what's so bad for wanting J.J. Redick all along after LeBron James had made it so obvious that he was looking for a new coach other than Darvin Ham. That is the belief. Period. There's no way around that. Having said that, back to J.J. Redick and Charles Barkley in terms of what J.J. Redick said about the media. And I was watching Colin Cowherd because I happen to respect the hell out of Colin Cowherd at Fox Sports. He's my former colleague, he's my colleague, my contemporary, my former colleague at ESPN. And he did an outstanding job as a radio host for years for ESPN Radio. I've always considered us at ESPN suffering a loss by losing Colin Cowherd. And I forgot the name of the guy that's with him, Jason something, if I remember correctly. And he was talking about how TNT, you know, they messed up the game of basketball because they're so ultra critical. I call BS on that. When guys deserve to be celebrated, they celebrate you. When guys deserve to be criticized, they criticize you. Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, Ernie Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal are exceptional. They're Emmy Award winners. They're the A-listers. They're class personified. They don't get personal. They're just talking about your game and what you put on display. And if that's what you put on display as a product, they didn't blame the league. I'd say you could blame the league because of the rule changes that were incorporated. And the fact that you took defense, you compromised defense to a strong degree, by the way. You compromised opposing defenses because you wanted to be more viewer friendly. You wanted more offense. You wanted to, basically bring more Europeans into the game. And by doing so, you also incorporated more three-point shooting. And when people are doing all of that and you see folks jacking up 30, 40 threes a game, that's not the most attractive thing to see, period. It's not a crime to point that out. Maybe they go a bit excessive with it because they're having a good time and they're having fun. But the reality, JJ, is that sometimes, I'm not talking about the Lakers. I'm talking about overall. Sometimes we watch the game and it sucks. And here's where JJ hurts himself. JJ knows that's true. JJ can bring up the modern day game compared to old school, and I get all of that. It was far more physical in the 80s and the 90s. The athletes weren't as great as they are today. They didn't run like Giselle's the way they do today. They didn't do a lot of things. I get all of that. But it doesn't take away from the fact that the game at times is less attractive than it once was. And it certainly doesn't take away from the fact that sometimes you look at dudes and you are questioning their effort. Whereas before you didn't, and because you couldn't, because players would have to go out there and earn their money because the rules, in terms of you getting your money, didn't work in their favor if they didn't put in that work. You certainly didn't get the endorsement dollars and the endorsement deals that you ultimately are able to get now if you didn't have success attached to it. So people like JJ, who's been around long enough to see it, and along with the crew at TNT, they all know it. It's not that they're right every time, but their points are not to be summarily dismissed. And so to blame the media, and this is another thing too, and this has nothing to do with JJ Redick, and it has nothing to do with TNT. This is about social media. Everybody's a hater. You think we fools? You're just doing that because you're creating clickbait. Oh, he's a hater. Somebody disagreed and y'all had a discussion and it's the word destroyed. This person destroyed this person. When all you're doing it is to create a headline and draw clicks. But then it goes a step further because you got former players that come out and they go like, yo, you know what? Always hating on the brothers. Well, if you're playing against a brother and I'm pointing at a brother, bust your ass, how the hell am I sitting up there hating on a brother? How am I not supporting the brother that whipped your ass? It don't make sense. But this is what people do. And so we have to pay attention to that and see that for what it is. That's the reality of the situation. We've had a heightened level of sensitivity. People come up with all of this kind of shit to bitch and moan and complain about instead of dealing with the real issue. Are players playing as hard? Are they as committed? Do they take care of their bodies and their conditioning in the off season? Do you earn your money? Are you committed to earning your money? Do you come back with the next season with the same game you had last season, the same level of conditioning you had last season, etc.? Do you do anything to improve? That's why we should marvel at LeBron James. It's not because of his dunks, his game, whatever. It's because at age 40 still, from age 17, 18, 19, 20, all the way to 40, LeBron James always is ready. Conditioning-wise, he doesn't cheat the game. But JJ, there's quite a few people who do. So JJ's not totally wrong because we should heighten our level of sensitivity in terms of excoriating the game. But that don't mean we got to put blinders on and ignore what the hell we're seeing. And I think that's important to say.